Hi, and welcome to this new video series. So in this series, I'll be posting a couple videos. They might not be coming out every couple days like my programming series videos, but in this series, I'll be showing you guys how to set up a home lab with Windows Server 2019. We're going to be setting up Active Directory on it. We're going to be setting up Hyper-V on it. We're going to be setting up some VMs. This is because on my old videos, I used to record them on an old Optiplex desktop. And since then, I've gotten a new computer for gaming and programming. So I no longer use it. So I'm going to be completely wiping it. And we are going to be doing a Windows Server 2019 install because I used to use Windows 10 Enterprise on it with Hyper-V, and then I had my domain server sitting in Hyper-V, and then I had a Windows 10 machine virtualized that was domain joined, and that was the machine that I was really making my videos on. So right now, we're just going to be showing you how to get Windows Server 2019, how to put it on a USB stick using Rufus, and then going through the setup, which is actually going to be recorded from my phone, showing how to install Windows Server 2019 on a regular desktop. You could also use a laptop for this, for your home lab setup. So let's go ahead and let's get started here. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to open up a browser, and you're going to want to go to the website for Microsoft and the Evaluation Center. Now, I'm actually going to be posting the link to that website in the description of this video, so you guys don't really have to look for it. But if you guys did want to find it there, if you guys go to google.com and do a search for Microsoft Evaluation Center, you should find it here. And then in there, you can find tons of different products to evaluate. Now, this is only recommended for testing purposes, but by all means, if you're trying to get a job in IT, if you're a student, this is a great place. The licenses last 180 days, and is actually a little workaround for that that I'll be showing you in another video, that you can actually extend that 180 days for up to 6 times, giving you a total of 3 years, which honestly is more than long enough to test and practice with. And by then, I mean, Windows Server 2022 is already in preview mode. So, I mean, we're going to get a new one fairly soon, and I'm actually probably going to make a video on the 2022 preview, just kind of going over some of the features in it. But let's go ahead and let's get started on today's video. So we're going to download Windows Server 2019, and we are going to download it in an ISO format. And you're just going to want to click on Continue, and you're going to fill in all this information and continue. I've already downloaded it here. It's about 5 gigs, just under 5 gigs in file size. So it's not that bad. And then what we're also going to want to do while that downloads, you're going to want to go to rufus.ie, which is a website, and I will also be posting that in the description below. This is how I create all my bootable USB drives. You've probably seen this software before if you watch Linux tech tips. They use Rufus, I believe, quite often in their videos as well. It's the one that I really enjoy. I just use this portable version. I find that just easy. You don't have to install it. You can pretty much put it on a USB stick and use it on any computer afterwards as well. So that kind of comes in handy there. So once you have both of those pieces of software installed, you have the ISO downloaded and you have Rufus downloaded, what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to launch Rufus. So once we launch Rufus here, we are actually going to get a screen that looks like this. So here we're going to have device, we're going to have boot selection, select. There's going to be a lot of different options here. So let me go ahead and let me just plug in my USB stick into my computer here. here we have it here. So we have our device here. I just have an 8 gig USB stick plugged in. And here you have tons of options depending on what you have on your computer here. You might only have FreeDOS, but you might also have some of these other options as well. So what I'm just going to do is I'm going to do a select here, and I'm going to select from my downloads folder this evaluation of server 2019. And then the image option, we're just going to keep that as the standard Windows installation. And we are going to keep it to the GBT partition scheme. And we are going to keep it to the UEFI. And we're going to keep everything pretty much else the standard default here. And we are just going to click on start. And just basically gives you a warning saying that anything that's on the USB stick will be destroyed. We just click OK here. Now this is going to take a little while to do. So we're just going to let that go, and then I will see you guys once it completes. All right, so it is all complete now. So you will get this little window here that basically just kind of, let me actually shows this window to you guys here. So this window is kind of small here, but basically just says that you've created a media that uses the UEFI bootloader. And then please remember to boot this media, you must disable secure boot. So that's pretty much it. So we're just going to close out of that, and we're just going to close out of that. And we are going to go ahead and switch to my phone camera now. And we are going to go through the setup of Windows Server 2019 on the Optiplex. All right, so once you have your USB plugged into your computer, you're just going to want to boot it up. And then boot into the boot menu, which for me, it's going to be F12. I'm just going to want to get into that boot menu. All right, and then once it boots up here, before we boot from the USB, you're just going to want to make sure that your boot mode is set to UEFI and your secure boot is set to off. And then we are going to boot from our USB stick. So here it's just loading in the files that we're going to be using to install Windows Server 2019 that we downloaded from the website earlier. And we should be loading into the Install Windows Server 2019 screen. Alright, so here you're just going to select the language you want to install and the time and currency and keyboard method, which for us is going to stay all as English, and then our keyboard is going to be the US layout. We're just going to hit on Next, and then we're just going to click on Install Now. And this will start the setup. So here we are again in the evaluation mode here. So what we're going to do is we are going to do the data center evaluation, which probably for most people the standard evaluation might be good enough, but we want to have a couple VMs running. So in our case, we're going to do the Windows Server 2019 data center evaluation. We're going to click on Next, and I'm also installing the desktop experience just to have a GUI for future videos. I might also have a video eventually of showing the headless version, and we can use Windows Admin Center and PowerShell to manage these, but for us right now, we are just going to install the desktop experience. And then we are just going to accept these terms here. And for me, I prefer doing the custom install. So here, yours might seem a little bit different. But I'm doing this because I just want to wipe my whole hard drive. So all we're going to do is we're just going to do a format here. We're just going to click on OK. And we are just going to delete tons of these partitions here. And we're just going to delete this one as well. And then we're going to click on New, and then we're going to hit Apply. And this should generate us a good partition table. And then we're just going to click on Format here, just to make sure that it's nice. And then we're going to click on Next. And here we are just installing the Windows files. So this is going to run for a little bit. I will see you guys when this completes. So once the setup is fully complete, it's going to get the message that it needs to restart to continue. Just let it do its thing and it's going to restart on its own. So let's see where we end up here. So if you have this this similar thing where it reboots quite often, this is completely normal. I just wanted to record this part so you guys can see that if your computer does do quite a few different reboots here, it is completely normal. Because I know that that was a question in my HyperV video. If it was normal for a server to reboot twice, it is completely normal. So it's just going to do its thing. So here we are. We're just at the customize settings option here. So this is going to be setting up the administrator password. So you're just going to go ahead and put your administrative password that you want in here. It could be anything you'd like. We're just going to put this password in here. And there we are. So we are now completely set up here. So if we do a Control-Alt-Delete, you'll see that I do get a prompt here for my password. So we're just going to log in here. All right, so once you log in, you're going to get your server manager. Now, one thing to note about Server 2019 is your Wi-Fi is not going to work right away, even if you have a Wi-Fi dongle and even if you install those drivers. There is something that you will need to do, so let's go ahead and let's do that here. So let's first open up a PowerShell window and let's run it as administrator. And then what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to do get Windows feature and then wireless. And then here we can see the wireless LAN service, and there's no X in the box here, so it is not installed. So let's go ahead and let's do install Windows feature here. And let's put the name of wireless networking here. And that should install it for us. So we're just going to wait till this completes here. Alright, and then we do get the we must restart the server to finish this install process. So let's go ahead and let's reboot our server here, and I will see you when it comes back. Alright, so once the server is rebooted here, you're just going to want to log into the server. Now that we've installed the feature, now we just have to turn on the service here. So let's go ahead and let's open up another PowerShell window here. And once again, we are just going to want to launch it as administrator. And then what we're going to want to do is we're just going to want to do the net start WLAN SVC. And then that should start the WLAN auto config services. And we see that it has started successfully. So now if we click at the bottom here, we should be able to see all of our Wi-Fi that are available here. So let's go ahead and let's just connect to one of these here. And this should work. I'm pretty sure that that is the correct password for mine. Yep, and it is. So let's just go ahead and let's make sure that we can connect to the internet, to a website here. Did a random Bing search, so let's see what comes up here. There we are. So we are connected. There's going to be a few more configurations that we need to do here. So let's firstly, since this is going to be our home lab and we're going to be really managing this server remotely, we're not really going to want to ever log in physically into this server here. We're going to open up the server manager, go into local server here, and we are going to assign it a static address here. So what we're going to want to do is let's actually just see what our current address is. Assigned by DHCP. So let's see what that is here. And to see what that is, if you open up a PowerShell window, and let's just do IP config here. So here we can see that my gateway is this, and my IP address is going to be this here. So let's go ahead and let's set this to the static IP address, and we're actually just going to be setting this to the IP address that it got by the DHCP server here. So let's go properties, let's change our IPv4 settings, and let's go ahead and use that here. And let me just make this window a little bit smaller so I can see what the text is here. Alright, so let's use the IP address of 172. Now this is going to depend on what you got here. So mine's going to be 172.birdie.123.8 here. My subnet mask, I'm going to put that to 255.255.255 and 0. And then the default gateway, we are going to put in the default gateway that we see from our IP config. So we are just going to put that in here. And then the DNS servers, what I usually just end up using. Now you can look for these online, but I usually just end up using 8. And then I believe the other one for Google DNS services is going to be 8844. So let's just do that here. Now you can put any DNS servers you really want there. I'm just going to be using these ones. And then you're just going to click OK. And then I'm going to be turning off IPv6. So we still have internet access, and we can see that here if we just go to google.com once again. It still works. And if we refresh the screen here, we can see that our IP now shows up here as 172.birdie.123.8. And we're just going to want to turn on the remote desktop here. And we are going to add, so the administrator already has access, so that is perfect here. So let's just click on OK and apply and OK. And this is pretty much it. You can do a Windows updates just to get all the drivers, because as you can see my screen here, it doesn't quite fit
properly. But honestly, for me, that doesn't really matter because, like I said, I'm not really going to be ever logging into this server directly. So let's go ahead and let's switch over to my other computer.
All right, we're back on the main computer here. So we're just going to want to go ahead and do a remote desktop session to the server that we just built. So we know that the server that we just built has the IP address of 172.30.123.8. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to connect to that. Now you're going to want to make sure that both your computers are connected to the same network. That is something that I didn't mention earlier, but that's why I picked the specific Wi-Fi network that I had picked, because it is the same network that my other computers are on, so I can access these here. So we're going to want to click on more choices here, and we're going to click on use different account. Now, when you're going to use a different account, you're going to want to connect using the local administrator account on that server. So firstly, we're going to type in 172.30.123.8. Then we're going to do a /administrator, which is the username of our administrator account. And then we're going to type in the password that we've set up in our setup process here. And we are going to go ahead and we are going to accept the certificate. Now this is going to load up our server here. So we have our server. Let's go ahead and let's open up Server Manager here. And let me just get zoomed in on that for us. All right, so here we are. And we can see here that this is the server that we did work on here. So we have our computer name, we have our work group, which will eventually be a domain. We have our computer name, which will eventually change as well. We can see that our remote desktop is enabled, obviously, because we are connected to it. And then we do see our IP address, and we can see that it is the Windows Server 2019 Data Center Evaluation. We can see that it is an Optiplex here. So everything is really set up and ready to go. So in the next couple of videos, I'm going to be going over how to set up Hyper-V on this server. We're going to be setting up some Active Directory domains. We're going to be setting up some VMs on the next few videos. I already do have some videos showing how to set up Hyper-V on Windows 10 and creating VMs, but I'm going to be making these videos specifically for the Server 2019 install. There's very not many differences, but we're just going to be really focusing this series on setting up a home lab. So hopefully you guys stay tuned for that. Please like and subscribe and hit that notification bell to be notified when those videos come out, and I will see you on the next video.